It's the book of Acts, chapter 14, verse 22, where they strengthen the believers, they encourage them to continue in the faith, reminding them that we must suffer many hardships to enter the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Krakadash. The honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Shalom to the hopefully like men that scattered abroad, and also shalom to your very few sincere sisters. Right, me, brother, I'm going to come to the quick lesson. Low one's uplifting and edifying. And as you can see on the screen, it's pretty much, the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And this is our journey in the spirit. And when you look at it, this is our journey on paper, or in this picture. We're on this straight and narrow path, to the kingdom. On this path, it's about to play out more so than ever, especially when the time of Jacob's trouble, right? And it talks about enduring to the end. The same that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. It's about to be a real reality once, shit hit the fan. But even more so now, on a day-to-day basis, it's a straight and narrow path, trying to rehearse the righteous laws to the best of your ability, trying to keep going through all the hardships, But like I brought out with the book of Acts 14 and 22, we exhort, we encourage to keep the faith, because we right here at the end, and seeing that white tape at the end, you want to run through it instead of, leaning too far to the left or leaning too far off the right to where you go off the path until they gather abroad. Right, so I'm going to just jump straight to it. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7. Matter of fact, I'll start right here right quick. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 18. And it said, wherefore comfort one another with these words. Comfort one another. Tell them, hey, keep going. Keep going. A quote that I try to tell myself a lot is, you came too far just to come too far. Even though the thing is preordained already, but, we have the spirit to be motivated, to keep going, keep the faith, So, you gotta think, you gotta have in your mind that, hey, Yahweh Shemashai didn't bring me this far just to bring me this far, Lord willing, we have a crown destined for us, but we must get through these situations, these tribulations, and then in the book of matter of fact, I'll grab it right quick, in the book of 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, it reads, they have no temptation taking you but such as is common to man. But Yahweh Shemashai is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. And this is a part of the straight gate. So keep that in mind. While you walking through that straight gate, the Lord is not going to tempt you more than what you can handle. But it's a part of walking through that straight gate. Are you rooted to it? It says, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. And that just, that's the mentality you got to have, right? The Lord is not going to give me nothing I can't handle, but he is going to chastise me along this way. That's what makes it a straight gate, It's difficult, right? But always keep in mind that he's not going to give you more than what you can handle. You want to have that test. Your testimony going to be a real testimony, not just he had a cakewalk to the kingdom. No, right? Let's get to 2nd Ezra chapter 2. 2nd Ezra chapter 7.
In which river was Jesus baptized?
Wow, my ad would want to pop up. I'm waiting for it to go through. Salakia. All right, there we go. Salakia. So this right here is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And I started verse 1. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel, which had been sent unto me the nights afore. And he said unto me, up, Esdras, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And I said, speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river, right? So you're telling it's a big spot, big place that you can get to, but the entrance of it is real narrow. But if you can make it through that small little wiggle room, right? You're gonna be open up to a lot of goodness, and that's what it is right now. We're going through a straight gate, right? That 2/3 can't follow behind us, man. Right? Only you tailor made to get through it. You know. It reads, "Who then could go into the sea to look upon it, and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad?" And that's beautiful, because I think about it like, through Yahweh Shai. You gotta go through Yahweh Shai to get to that broad. You gotta go through Yahweh Shai to get to Yahweh, get to the kingdom. Can't go another way but through the straight gate, through Yahweh Shai. But it says, who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? How can you get your crown without going through any trials and tribulations? You going through life and getting stripes for your crown. I know the Elder Kazak, say it a lot too as well. Get down for your crown, and that's going through these trials and tribulations through this straight gate. You're gonna lose a lot on this side, but you're gonna gain it all on the other side. It says, verse 6, "There is also another thing: a city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things." Right? Another analogy. "The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water." Count the cost. Count the cost of how you build. Right? And another scripture that I love the most is Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 2. When you come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Because this is all temptation, man. This is a narrow path. It get dark sometimes. But scriptures, the comforter, 2 Corinthians 5:7. "For we walk by faith and not by sight." So we don't care how dark it is. We're going to keep walking. And we're going to have that spirit of Eli. That man was blind. The lady asked him, "How you know which way is this way?" And he said, "I walk by faith and not by sight." He says, verse 7, "The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall." Right? And like I said, it's counting the cost, man. Seeing all of these things is dangerous. You may lose your life inside this ministry. Lose your family, lose everything, right? For example, Job. But is you gonna keep walking? Because his account showed that you can get back what you lost. It says, "The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once." Right. So that was really the point. So pretty much, in this walk, it's going to be tough. It's a narrow road. It's a straight gate. You get chastised along the way. But if you can endure all the way into the end, right, going through that small wiggle room, right, this is the prize, man. This is well worth it, right? To hear, "Well done, my faithful servant." So that was really it. Matter of fact, I can end off on one scripture. Because you have your crown already. But you want to walk this straight walk, this difficult path. So the Lord can make you a ruler, man. So this right here is the book of Revelation 3:10, 3:11. "Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown." Right? In these tribulations, like scriptures talk about how Satan, looking for whom he could devour. Right? And this is the part of the left and the right hand side. Hey, wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy time. This is going to help you get to the abroad, right? And also in that chapter, 2nd Ezra chapter 7, it said, and who can rule it? Right? Only the elect, right? Those going to be the ones that got through, right? The narrow. So verse 12, him that overcome will I make a pillar in the temple of the Most High, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my power, and the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my power, and I will write it upon him, my new name. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit hath said unto the churches. Right, so let that be comfort for you. So Lord willing, this was quick and edifying. I want to give our honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Shalom.